Here we go with an epic one, darling. I have a friend who taught me the ins and outs, or just briefly, um, superficialities behind the whole like gang violence thing. And he's not really in a gang. Like he adheres to the blood versus the crypt and the whole situation. Not that I really give it any relevance at all. I think that's total bullshit, and it's all just a complete waste of energy and a whole lot of nonsense. Getting people to fight about things that ordinarily they probably just overlook. And he made a point. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but he made a point. I haven't like actually done research. I just believed it to be true. To tell me that blood is actually blue inside of our body, and once it hits the air, oxygen, then it turns red. So I was thinking about the whole concept of should blood just stay within us, or should we actually be have the pleasure of seeing it be that color? Um, where does it belong? Is it more beautiful blue, or should it be red? And so um, I kind of respected, like, I mean, as far as his choice to be a blood, because of the sheer fact that the color is blue, and or was it the exact opposite? It's crypt. I don't know what it is. I forget. Maybe it's crypt. I don't, whatever. Anyway, whatever the blue one is, and uh, it's a big joke. All my friends are like, he looks like a big Smurf. It's all he ever wears is blue. He won't let me wear red very very often either. So can't wait for him to come over and see my decorated kitchen. Anyway, so I wrote this poem after pondering that thought. So he kind of inspired this poem. It's not really about him at all. I was just homeless and thinking about things. So it's called Blood. Written August 26th of '09. Blood pumping through veins too tired for the passage of train-like time, providing liquid life, more patient, more persistent than the time that it mocks, yet secretly is fearful of, knowing regardless of the effort it exerts and the power that it inflicts, it will inevitably be slowed and then stopped by the very thing that it defies, time. Blood pumping through aging pathways, too tired to argue, too rhythmic to be passive, preferring aggressive pursuit of relentless circulation over succumbing to stalker ticking of stopping with the last beat as the homage to the mysterious afterlife. With the message of miracle becoming a victim to mystery, the answer is never found, the absolution, taunting teachers with humility at the fact that it's unreachable, obsession becoming pursuant of the very fact, tormenting those deprived of deliverance through expectance of anomalies and purpose for centuries throughout fathomless histories, unsatisfactory and dishonored at the feeble attempts at documentation to at least approach the proof of truth that somebody tried in the first place, again and again and again and again exposing the unavoidable admittance to their unconquerable continuous failures. Poor pity of the people attempting profiteering through troubleshooting and presenting of problems that need no solving, just preaching of the pathetic needs of those too proud to admit defeat in the face of divine prevention, to the intervention, to hacking into the unseen, just for the need of a green greed that blinds reasons and taints intentions with the signs and dreams of being first to crack the code that everyone sees but no one can read. An unwanted refusal to believe that they are denied a reward for conquer or a name in books for all they achieved. Blood refuses to bend to their addendum, their pursuit of truth and dishonesty, but blood never lies, hides, or compromises even when oxygen is introduced, in deep breathing, changing blue to red when they meet, they still exposing outpouring emotions as liquid relief, adorning white chalk outlines that decorate the streets, an aftermath equivalent of the reciprocal of violence or unwanted accidents that incite time to tighten that incite that or adorning white chalk outlines that decorate the streets, an aftermath equivalent of the reciprocal of violence, or perhaps unwanted accidents that incite time to tighten the reins and bring the fleshly vessel to the destination of death in a crime scene now viewed as a vestige. Exclaiming without explaining the very nature of the human to hate knowledge of origin without the comfort of knowing where it is going. The blood of of boldly training the thirsty to dehydrate gracefully and teach the lesson of confession that confusion speaks little when you keep guessing without acceptance of an educated surrender to the excuse for conclusion with the upholding of resolutions being redeemed by the popular belief in second chances. Taking none but expecting another to be offered when you have squandered all initial first-time involvement and chosen to be blinded by the burden of choosing between ignorance claiming bliss over knowledge, proving anguish, and providing no solace. The blood runs, pours down grates of giving up to falling downs and telling itself to surrender to aging concrete and cracked, wrinkled textures is the best way to alleviate the pressure of conjecture, forming a tributary of irrigated weathered cement that aquatic. Okay, sorry. The blood runs, pours down grates of giving up to falling downs, and telling itself to surrender to aging concrete and cracked, wrinkled textures is the best way to alleviate the pressure of conjecture, forming a tributary of irrigated weathered cement that aquatic persistence has carved out that has carved out a legend, coercing the asphalt to bend to its will and now to bow to its pleasure, and over time provoke and provide a path for which the blood for which the poured out life, spilled red, can obey, staining streets with the story of time, convincing blood to halt and bend by bowing to its command. Stop, time says, stop, for it is time. Not dwelling on things like consoling the corpse with lies, of walking into bright lights with a squinting of eyes, no moment to soothe with words of elongated goodbyes, and the don't worries, you're gonna be just fines, pack of pacifying lines known as purgatory alibis and unkempt promises of purpose out of your hands and negate of the pleasure of a first place in the passing of souls, too borrowed for purchase, too priceless for buying, too important for labels, of a blood barcode called bought and sold. Who knows where it goes? Without the shell of its fleshly home, the afterlife aftermaths of countless beats of the blood's achievement, too elusive for definition of defined agreements, and too bold to fit into the mold of someone's soon importance, fading to an overexposure, flowing into its own impeachment, overthrown by the power of being too perfect to be pedestaled and pigeonholed by things as pointless as crowning achievements, or a proposed developing of answers forever elusive being pegged by the prostrating plea of the powers that be. Only bending when God says the legend of pathways carved in history lead to locked doors requiring keys, until the question marks choking the elite with a stubborn curved asphyxiation on a punctuation that becomes exclamatory in a suffocating turning blue in the face of oxygen being refused, a life sentence now complete, a serpentine suffocation on the science of swallowing in recognition of headlines of truth being refused. The commercials are static when the sound's off and all you hear is pumping of a heart defying definition and mocking time daily with its rhythmic precisions, a precautionary measure to a percussion of pain versus pleasure. The daily pumping of the blood finding cracks in persuasion and searching into the sewer through the grate of so many rainfalls, a wet subjugation. An end to the downpouring of drowning emotions, where the real water tends to begin to find a home in a subterranean search for what has never been unearthed and resides in the tunnel visions, being deprived of fruition at birth. Blood imagines that an outpouring of life into a screeching halt is the loudest sound that silence makes when you whisper, "It's time to stop." And then screaming without ever knowing where or why, you never even made a sound or considered the alternative to obedience and move anyway. Blood breaks the sound barrier with the speed of sacrificing your pleasure to the pain of passing in your time. Slain by the ticking time bomb of the explosive eruption of the collision of flesh, meeting the undefined, defying only in definition, denied, life-giving blood acknowledged, power remaining in due time. It's called Blood. I like that. 8/26/09.